This is a screen recording of me documenting my mixdown, just explaining what I've been doing to get a final mixdown on some of the tracks that I need to then master for my FMP. I spoke on my last mixdown video about some of the techniques I've used. I'll speak about the techniques that were different I applied on this track, and I'll just start with the first sound. So this is one of my tracks that's going to be obviously out of in total 12 probably tracks that I'm going to be then trying to choose them because I want them all mastered. Once they're finally mixed down and mastered, I can go, okay, yeah, I like this 7, or see what happens with that. So yeah, the first sound is, I've just got a channel EQ on it. So the first sound is just a channel EQ. It's taken away, it's a sweeping high filter pass, so it's taken away, I'd say, up to about 1,800 hertz from the highs, and then it sweeps back out and back in again, as you can see. It's taken away up to 255 hertz on the lows. So it's going to go to the next sound. So the next sound that comes in is a backup melody. So this is a different sound, like different instrument, same melody. And on that, it's got a channel EQ which has the same sort of filter effect. Just because I want it to filter at the same time with the same frequency at the same instrument. So that's why I've done that. It's like it's got slightly less on the lows taken out. The next sound that comes in is an 808 and an open hat. So the 808 it's been taken down to minus 10.6 dB. And basically, what I've got on that is I've got a tuner just to find out what key it was. So I brought it to a C, and then obviously knew what key I was played the notes. I've got some overdrive on there. So for the overdrive, I have a little routine now because I've sort of found the right sort of amount of. So I take minus 3.5 dB in the output. That's just to control everything, because when it first comes on, it's like boom. So you've got to control it. So I control it from that. And then it's still a little bit rattly sometimes. So what I do is I take the drive down to 4.25. I think it starts at like 6. So that's well over what I wanted. So I brought it right down. I boosted the tone of it. So I just brought down the drive and boosted the tone, because that's what I was going for. Rather than the grittiness, I wanted the tone of the sort of high notes. And I believe the overdrive sort of, it just makes everything sort of, I don't know, it just makes it really sound nicer for me. So on that, I've also got a compressor where it's been bussed also with the kick to a bus, and when it's bussed, I've side chained it on the compression, and then so it's been side chained, and on the kick it's been side chained also, and it's been the ratio's been turned up on the kick. So then what that does is when the bass is playing, the kick is actually coming through harder than the bass. It's not clashing with the frequencies. Even though the kick and the bass might be exactly the same frequencies, the kick's always going to come through more than the bass. So that's quite a good technique. I learned that a while ago, and I've been applying it in my tracks ever since. The open hat that starts next, that's got some stereo delay on. Stereo delay just makes it that echo effect. I call it an echo effect. So yeah. On that also, I've got some channel EQ where I've taken up to 3200 hertz from the lows, taken all the way in, so I've taken the mids out as well. It didn't actually have that frequencies really in the mids anyway, but I just took it out just to get rid of that space. On the reverse crash that you can hear next, I just thought then, because I thought that sort of, it almost adds a sort of tension to it, I think, for me. And so what I've done is I've got a space designer on that and a channel EQ, and again I've taken away a lot of the lows and a lot of the mids, and then I've also taken away some of the highs there. I've taken up to 10k hertz on the highs and up to 3600 on the lows, so I've taken away the mids as well. For my open hat, reverse crash hats, I have all sent them to a bus. And on the bus 4, just let me quickly see what the bus 4. So on the bus 4, I've got a compressor. I just believe when you compress with the hats and open hats, it keeps them, it maintains them at a level, so you haven't got any that are just all of a sudden being a bit, oh, that was like a bit loud, you know. So that's why I've done that. There's nothing on that. It's just turn the compressor on, turn the ratio and the threshold a little bit, messed around with that. So the next thing that comes in that we'll hear is the kick. So the kick has got turned down to minus 13.8. It's been bussed, obviously, like the same as the 808, and I went through the compressor already on that. It's been side chained, and then it's turned to 3:1:1 ratio. It's got a channel EQ that's taken away some of the lows up to like 50 Hertz. I've also taken away some of the highs about 2400 Hertz, just because I felt like sometimes you can hear that toppiness in the kick, and I don't want that. I want a subby kick, but also that's got the lows. When the lows are taken out to 50, it really makes a difference. So that's what I've done to the kick. I've also on the 808, I've got to mention, taken away up to about 40 Hertz, 36.5. Taking away some of the high ends again, just to stop that. I don't want any high ends getting in there really. I want the mids from the top sort of notes, and that's about it. I've got a Vox that comes in on a drop. It's just a sample. That's got a silver verb on and a stereo delay. The silver verb is a preset, just the first preset I come across, and I just messed around with the wet and dry ratio. I believe I did 60 to 40 dry to wet. Silver verb, and on the stereo delay as well. The channel EQ has just got a lot of the lows and mids taken out. That's turned down to 13. The crash is simple. Silver verb just to give it that bit of space. It's really nice. Comes through quite clean. I've taken away a majority of the lows and mids and left the highs in, because that's what the crash is. It's a lot of high frequencies. The hats I've already come across, they've got exactly the same frequencies on, and they're all compressed to the same bus, so that really makes it a lot easier to mix down the hats and percussions. We've got a little snare arpeggiated there with just, I think it's a 16 note or a triplet, so that just comes through. It's at 31 minus, so it's really light. It's got a silver verb on, like I say, to add more space. For the bells that come through now, I just thought they had another little bit of, they were a sort of counter melody I felt at the time. So they've got a space signer on, and the channel EQ's taken quite a lot out. Also, there's a little pad that comes in now. That's just, it was for a switch up I decided to add it. So that comes in. So that's the pad, and that's turned down to minus 5.9. It's got channel EQ, and I've taken away a lot of the highs, because it's like a rhythmic pad. So it plays its notes, and then there's a sound sort of that's like a higher sound. It's quite a high frequency that comes after it, and it's nice, but it's a little bit too sharp. So I've just taken scooped a lot of that out, and that's really been quite effective for the pad. Just play the pad. So can you hear that sort of, it's like a slower attack sound after it. But where I've taken it out, you can't hear it as much, so it's quite good. So yeah, my tag's pretty simple. It's turned down to minus 10. I've already spoke about it in my last track, because it's already been perfectly edited with the reverb. It sounds good, and I just need to literally turn it down to what's appropriate, and I've taken away some of the lows. That is the Mixdown process of Resist. Really simple, just sending things to buses to compress certain things. 808 and kick coming through really clean, not over too much. It's not hitting over -3 in the mix. Stereo out, so once it's mastered it sounds nice, it sounded good.